for Dodger Baseball. Live from Dodger Stadium, Sportsnet LA presents the Dodgers as they take on the Arizona Diamondbacks. Hi, everybody, and a very happy Labor Day to you, wherever you may be. We're at Dodger Stadium, game one of the three with the Arizona Diamondbacks. Going back to 2014, the Dodgers have certainly had their way against Arizona. They've beaten them 35 out of 50, and in the last 9 series played here at Dodger Stadium, the Dodgers are 8-0 with a tie. So far this year, the Dodgers have won 7 of the 12. Arizona comes here flexing their muscles. They've scored 8 or more runs in 10 games of the last 26, and they lead with their ace tonight, and that would be Zack Greinke. Greinke takes your breath away when you think about how well he has done here at Dodger Stadium. In his career, he is 29-5 and an earned run average of 2. He comes here with a record of 12-4. Last year he was 19-3, but he has won 9-1 in his last 14 starts. This year, 1-0 against the Dodgers, 3-0 lifetime. But there's an interesting note about Greinke. When he pitches at home in Arizona, his earned run average is over 5. Here at Dodger Stadium, in his career, 1.4. Opposing him will be Kenta Maeda, looking for his 14th win. He is 13-8. So we have a good ball game and a whole lot more coming up right after this.
La 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 la, this is a time to dream, a time to love, a time to fly. Today, enjoy your...
There are countless ways to experience Macau, where you'll feel inspired at every turn.
At Morongo never goes out of style. It's a weekend of sweet accommodations, a weekend to settle down, and a weekend to live it up. It's a weekend to swim and splash in the Oasis pool or sip and snuggle in a cabana. It's a weekend for the ages. Morongo, good times anytime.
Do you know a high school senior that excels athletically, academically, and is a standout in their community? If so, then nominate them for their chance to win a $2,500 scholarship. Visit twcschamp.com for details. Presented by Shakey's.
What's our Shakey's time?
Party time! Pizza chicken!
Mojo's. A time to unwind. Game time.
Lunchtime.
Family time. All day, every day.
It's always a good time for Shakey's.
The all-new West Coast Toyota is now open in Long Beach. Come discover how you can truly enjoy the car buying experience. Our dealership was designed with our customers in mind. Shop our huge selection of new and quality pre-owned vehicles. Relax in our spacious customer lounge as our Toyota certified technicians service your vehicle. The all-new West Coast Toyota in Long Beach, serving all of LA and Orange County. Just off the 405 freeway, or shop online now at westcoasttoyotalb.com.
Get more movies with Time Warner Cable.
Dad, I'm dead.
Just stay put till I get there. People make mistakes, and you'll face God for it. But not yet. You need to deal with me.
As a valued customer, you get instant access to over 3,000 of the hottest new movie releases, like Bloodfather. Just go to Movies on Demand, all new, and order Bloodfather today on Time Warner Cable.
A new team at Chavez Ravine, another opportunity for a series win, and certainly an opportunity to go 4 games ahead in the division. Certainly the biggest lead all season long. Hello, everybody, and welcome inside Dodger Stadium. I'm Alana Rizzo. Clayton Kershaw, the big news yesterday, he will return to the rotation and start on Friday against the Marlins. Some other of his teammates trying to get back as well. Time now for the injury report, brought to you by Curlin Joe. Brandon McCarthy, a fellow starter dealing with that hip injury, started for Single A Rancho today. 4 innings, giving up 10 runs, 5 of those earned on 9 hits. Andre Ethier also playing in that game with Single A Rancho. Scott Kazmir expected to start on Wednesday for AAA Oklahoma City, and then if all goes well, hopefully will rejoin the team and pitch versus the Yankees. Guys?
All right, thank you very much, Alana. John Hartung, Nomar Garcia-Parra here in our Sportsnet LA studios. The Dodgers fresh off of taking 2 out of 3 from the Padres. Now another one of those kind of bottom feeder teams in the NL West. The Dodgers have another opportunity here before going on the road for 10.
Well, listen, they always say you beat the teams you're supposed to beat, and the key is just winning the series. So it's good to get 1 on the board so you can beat the Arizona Diamondbacks and then hopefully get the first 2 for a possible sweep. Challenge against Greinke, but you can beat Greinke. Let's go.
Let's go.
Yes,
absolutely right.
That's it.
Zach Greinke, he missed 6 weeks with an oblique injury since he came back. 2-1 with an ERA over 6, pitching on the mound at Dodger Stadium for the first time in enemy clothing.
After all these years, we've done it. El Pollo Loco's perfected the chicken tender. Marinated all-white meat chicken, seasoned and served with the perfect amount of crispiness. Proof that when you're really good at chicken, you make it look easy. Come try our new chicken tenders.
El Pollo Loco. Daredevil's back. I just saw the election result. Woo! You are going to need the LA County Fair more than ever. So, this year, I'm making rides spin faster, I'm making farm animals smell funnier, and I'm taking deep-fried food even deeper. Give me some more deep roasters. Get this man a donut. Make it bigger. Dare to fair.
Thursday admission and carnival rides just $29 with a coupon from Subway Restaurants.
Esurance does auto insurance a smarter way, like their photo claims tool. It helps settle your claim quickly, which saves time, which saves money. And when they save, you save. That's auto and home insurance for the modern world. Esurance, an Allstate company. Click or call. Esurance does insurance a smarter way, which saves money, like bundling home and auto coverage, which reduces red tape, which saves money. And when they save, you save. That's home and auto insurance for the modern world. Esurance, an Allstate company. Click or call.
1-877 Cars for Kids. K-A-R-S Cars for Kids. 1-877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today.
Donate online at carsforkids.com. That's cars with a K. Pickup is quick and easy. You'll get a vacation voucher and maximum tax deduction.
1-877 Cars for Kids.
Also accepting boats, motorcycles, RVs, and real estate donations.
I'm Fire, a.k.a. the Hot One. This is my Fire Grilled Chicken, along with El Pollo Loco's new avocado fajita salad, sides, and churros. It's called the 3-course family meal, a.k.a. Whoa, that's a lot of food. Get it while it's hot. Fresh from the grill.
Hi, everybody, and a very pleasant Labor Day to you, wherever you may be. Welcome to Dodger Stadium, a gorgeous late afternoon game, and it'll be the Dodgers and the Arizona Diamondbacks. Kenta Maeda in quest of his 14th win. Meanwhile, the Dodgers have picked up a half a game for the moment as the Giants lost 6-0. Matt Moore, the left-hander, who almost pitched a no-hitter against the Dodgers, was the losing pitcher in that game against Colorado. So for the Giants, they had 2 hits in 29 at-bats. In fact, they were almost no-hitted. And the Giants are incredible. You know, before the All-Star game, the Giants were the best team in baseball, 57-33. After the All-Star break, they are the worst team in the major leagues. They are 16-31. So with that in mind, we'll take a look at the Arizona starting lineup, and here's the way they shape up. Gene Segura opens up at second base. Chris Owings, who'd been out for a while, is back at short. A.J. Pollock, one of the outstanding young players, out with serious injuries, is back. So is Paul Goldschmidt at first base. Jake Lamb at third. Wellington Castillo behind the plate. Yasmani Tomas will be in right field. And our old friend Socrates Brito is in left with Zach Greinke on the mound. Kenta Maeda getting ready, 13-8. Should he pick up that 14 victory, he would tie Ishii and Ryu, most wins by a rookie pitcher, until you go all the way back to 1979, where Rick Sutcliffe broke in with the Dodgers and won 17 in his first game. So the Dodgers have a chance to pick up another half a game with a victory tonight, or I guess as they would say in Vegas, the Dodgers can play with some house money right now. They can't really lose much ground. For the D-backs, they have a little 2-game winning streak. They've also won 4 of 6. Gene Segura will be starting off. Segura, a terrific player from the Dominican Republic, hitting .320, 12 home runs, 51 RBIs, third in the National League. Segura started off the year earlier playing Chicago. There was a terrible collision on a fly ball. Kyle Schwarber, Dexter Fowler. The ball rolled around loose, and Segura had himself an inside-the-park home run. So the right-hand hitter checks in, and the first pitch down and away, ball 1. 1-0. Maeda pawing at the dirt to get it just right, and Segura checking in. Against Maeda, Segura is 4 for 11. That's a .364 batting average. Kenta in the sunlight, then steps into the shade, and his fastball down and away. 2 balls and no strikes. Gene Segura, 5'11", 175, 26 years old. Originally signed by the Angels. Came up to the Angels 4 years ago for a cup of coffee. The next pitch down and away. And interesting how that worked out. The Brewers traded Greinke to the Angels for Gene Segura. And then they both wind up in Arizona. Segura, I'll tell you how good a hitter he can be. A couple of years ago, he went 6 for 6. Here's the 3-0 pitch, and that's taken for a strike. Because what was always interesting, the least known Alou brother, that would be Jesus. He not only had 6 hits, he had 6 hits of 6 different pitchers. Now the 3-1 pitch on the way. Segura off speed, and he's way out in front of it. And the count 3-2. So the Dodgers hosting Arizona and Zach Greinke. Segura back up and waiting. 3-2 the count. Into the windup goes Maeda, and his 3-2 pitch is swung on, slapped down the right field line, slicing as it goes foul, and kicks up into the seats. Josh Reddick over, but no play. So Segura walking back to the box. Reddick going back to his position. In looking at Arizona, the fellows who have the big numbers, well, it would be Wellington Castilla, Jake Lamb, and Gene Segura. They're the 3 that Chip Hale would certainly rely on, as Chip leaning on the railing, taking in the ballgame. 3-2 the count. Into the windup goes Maeda. Here he comes, and that's whacked into left field. Base hit. Try to cut it off is Howie Kendrick, and does. And Segura a big turn, and just does get back to first. That was a little extra turn, and he almost paid the price. We'll take a look at the Dodgers defensively. That was a nice play by Howie to cut it off. Gonzalez and Utley, Seager and Turner, Kendrick, Peterson and Reddick, Grandal behind the plate handling Maeda. So a leadoff single, and the batter now is the shortstop, Chris Owings. Owings has had only 2 at-bats against Maeda, 0 for 2. Chris had a bad shoulder, and he is back to playing, and of course that makes Arizona that much better. First pitch by Maeda is a breaking ball down and away, ball 1. Chris Owings out of Charleston, South Carolina, lives over in Gilbert. He was a first-round pick by the D-backs out of high school back in 2009. 5'10", about 180, 25. Owings swings, fouls it right into Yasmani Grandal's mask. Whoa. Of course, we saw one that was really one for the books yesterday. Hector Sanchez had the ball bounce in the dirt and come up and hit him under the mask. And then after a while, we found out and told you the story that Sanchez always seems to get beaten up behind the plate, so much so that his teammates called him the Magnet. Well, Grandal just took a heavy lick. 1 ball and 1 strike, the count to Chris Owings. Maeda at the belt, throws to first, and Segura back on the bag. Arizona is a kind of a ball club that can score a lot of runs. They are a base-stealing team, 3rd highest number of stolen base coming into the game, 117. So they had to watch Segura. Out of his stretch goes Maeda, comes back to Owings. He swings and doesn't get it. Couple of notes about base stealing. If Arizona gets the opportunity, they have stolen third base 26 times. I mean, that's really out of hand. So the Dodgers are going to have to watch Arizona offensively very, very much. And we'll repeat, they have scored more than 8 runs, 8 or more, in 10 of their last 20-some-odd games. So Owings waits with A.J. Pollock on deck. The 1-2 pitch on the way. Slow breaking ball. Slider swung on and missed. And down goes Owings. So 1 out as Owings strikes out. A.J. Pollock coming up. And I'll tell you the truth, there isn't one person who has anything to do with baseball who isn't glad to see A.J. back in business. A Gold Glover, a wonderful player, and then, of course, in spring training, hurt himself. And if we get a chance, we'll show you what he did. But you have to remember, it was in spring training, so that's an idea of what makes him trick. He went to school at the University of Notre Dame. A.J. takes big, slow curveball in for a strike, and the count 0-1. When he's healthy, look out. Last year, the only player to have at least 35 doubles, 20 home runs, and 35 stolen bases, and that was A.J. Pollock. So A.J. 6'1", 195. The strike 1 pitch on the way. Maeda delivers, and that's on the inside corner, and the count 0-2. So Pollock's going to take a little walk. Give you an idea, they missed him all year, and in his first 2 games, he didn't do much at all. He had a fractured right elbow. And then all of a sudden he warmed up. After going 0 for 8, he went 3 for 5, 3 singles, 2 stolen bases, scored a couple of runs, and the A.J. Pollock was back. Strike 2 pitch instead, a throw to first. Here's what happened to A.J., and this will show you he's coming down the line. And remember, this is an exhibition game. There's going to be a play at the plate, and he's going to go head first, and that's when he wrecked that arm. So a mere exhibition, meaningless game, but that's the way he plays the game. So it's great to see him back. Strike 2 pitch on the way, fastball away, and the count 1-2 to A.J. Pollock. Last year, 39 doubles, 6 triples, 20 home runs, 39 stolen bases. I mean, he really is a team photo all by himself. He's a Connecticut boy. 1-2 the count to A.J. Pollock. Maeda set, comes back, fastball low and inside. That runs the count to 2-2. So Maeda gave up the leadoff single to Segura. Got Owings to strike out. Waiting on deck, every pitcher's nightmare, Paul Goldschmidt. Pollock waiting. He was a shortstop in high school. He also played basketball and soccer. The pitch to him way out in front of a breaking ball, and down he goes. So Maeda using that slider very, very well. Strikes out 2, and now here's Paul Goldschmidt. Paul Goldschmidt against Maeda is 4 for 11. That would be a .364 batting average. Goldie right around 300 with 20 home runs, 81 RBIs, and he always seems to wear out the Dodgers. 24 home runs, 74 RBIs in his career against the Dodgers. So Goldie, as they call him, big right-hand batter. Maeda ready and deals. Little slider for a strike, and the count 0-1. The thing that has to rub the Dodgers the wrong way, the fact that the Dodgers drafted Paul Goldschmidt. Instead, he opted to go to school at Texas State. So the big guy waiting, the strike one pitch on the way. Maeda deals, good fastball down, and the count 0-2. Goldie is 6'3", a good 245 pounds, 29 years old on the 10th of September, from Wilmington, Delaware, and lives over in Scottsdale. Here's the strike two pitch on the way. Maeda ready, here he comes, slider low, ball one. Goldschmidt struggling a bit this year with runners in scoring position, hitting .270. He's had other years .299, .338, .302. Last year .340. 1-2 the count. Segura at first, and a throw to first. Gene back on the bag. So Paul Goldschmidt checking at the plate. 1 ball and 2 strikes the count. A look by Maeda, aware of Segura at first, and the pitch is punched on the ground to the right side. Utley feeds Segura, and that'll be that. The Seager on the bag to reduce Segura. No runs, 1 hit, and a man left. And at the end of half an inning, no score.
From the #1 brand of vehicles in Southern California comes the best-selling car in America 14 years running. The 2017 Toyota Camry is here. Now get $2,000 cash back on the strikingly designed 2017 Camry. Or save thousands with 0 APR for up to 72 months plus $500 bonus cash. Want to get behind the wheel of a 2017 Camry? We make it easy. Toyota. Let's go places.
Excuse me. What do you think you'd pay for this smartphone?
A few hundred.
That's top of the line. More like $425. More like $9.
What? That's not possible.
It is on DealDash.com. See, DealDash.com is the fair and honest bidding site. This top-of-the-line laptop went for around $40. That can't be.
Incredible.
I know. Everyone says it's too good to be true.
But it's true. DealDash.com gets people real savings every day. Big savings. And if you're not satisfied, you get your money back. On DealDash.com, professional cameras sell for as low as $15. $50 gift cards go for $20. Laptops can be had for less than $10. And shipping is always free. It's perfect for gifts or just everyday necessities. Visit DealDash.com today and start bidding.
Is this from Deal Dash?
Uh-huh.
How much?
You don't want to know.
DealDash.com. See how much you can save.
Number 26. Bottom of the first inning, no score in the ball game. We'll take a look at the Dodger lineup, and it reads this way. Chase Utley leading off at second base. Then it'll be Corey Seager at short, Justin Turner at third, Adrian Gonzalez at first, Grandal the catcher, Reddick in right, Kendrick in left, Peterson in center, and Kenta Maeda on the mound. On the mound, no stranger here, Zach Greinke. He was 19-3 for the Dodgers last year. He has that remarkable record here, 29-5, and an earned run average of 2 at Dodger Stadium. Chase Utley checks in, swings at the first pitch, hits it to the middleman on the right side, and the out is immediately recorded. 1 away. We'll take a look at Arizona defensively. Goldschmidt and Segura, Owings at short and Lamb at third, Brito, Pollock, and Tomas in the outfield, and Castillo behind the plate handling Greinke. 1 pitch, 1 out. And the batter now is Corey Seager. Seager, in the only time he saw Zack Greinke over in Arizona, he went 2 for 3 against him, including a home run. Seager batting .313. Greinke ready and delivers. Fastball uppercutted and missed, and they count 0-1. Couple of baseball notes about Greinke. Arizona has a very good chance of winning if he is the starting pitcher. They've won 15 games when he starts. Fastball is high, but there are differences from this year and last year. This year, Greinke's allowing more line drives. Hitters are pulling the ball more, and about 10% fewer ground balls. 1-1 pitch swung on, smoked into left field for a base hit. Brito over to cut it off. So Seager, a line drive single to left, and with one out, the batter will be Justin Turner. So Seager just staying on the ball, line drive single. Justin Turner coming up. Justin Turner 2 for 5 against Greinke. Had 3 walks yesterday. That's a career high. 24 home runs, 76 runs batted in. So there's a fan with a Dodger Greinke shirt and Dodger cap taken in the game. Seager at first, Turner at the plate waiting. Zach ready, here he comes, and it swung on and missed, and they count 0-1. Greinke has given up 38% more extra base hits this year than last. He has always been and continues to be outstanding against the National League West. Greinke ready, strike one, pitch swung on and missed. In the East, he's 22-4. In the Central, 33-15. And against the National League West, 33-9. He has a lot of trouble against the East and a little bit of trouble against the Central. Seager at first, 1 out, first inning, no score. Greinke right back, fastball off the plate. 1 ball and 2 strikes. So Turner trying to keep something going. Adrian Gonzalez on deck. He's had trouble against Greinke, 1 for 6. Zach looks in, getting his sign, right foot on the rubber. Now he's ready. The 1-2 pitch to Justin Turner is swung on, hit in the air down the right field line. Slicing foul in pursuit and not able to make the play is Yasmani Tomas. So Turner will come back and try it again. When you look at Greinke and you break his great career down, and we have a chance to do that since Tomas is going to run out of real estate. He is 24-9 in April, 24-19 in May, 26-20 in June, July under 500, 18-23, August 29-15, and September 32-10. All right, Zach set at the belt. Another look over at first. And the 1-2 pitch to Justin Turner. Greinke deals, swung on and missed, and Justin goes down.
First baseman, number 23.
2 out in the first inning. Adrian Gonzalez coming up. Gonzalez hitting .293. Hitting .294 in his career against Arizona, and that means 34 home runs and 107 runs batted in. The Greinke has Seager at first, 2 out, first inning, no score. Adrian 1 for 6, checking in against Greinke. Right-hander over the top, and he's low. Ball 1, 1-0. No score, we're just starting. When Greinke was with the Dodgers against the National League West, he was 21-1 with an earned run average of 1.8. Here's his 1-0 pitch on the way to Adrian. That's taken high and away. breeze is blowing the other way, right to left, and probably reasonably well. The average time and distance going left to right. Greinke looking down. In case you wonder, that only loss against the West, that was against Colorado 3 years ago. 2-0 pitch on the way, and that's low. 3-0 the count. Zach as a low hit complete game with Yasmani Grandal waiting. He had a one-hitter for Kansas City at Seattle back in 2009. 1 hit, 1 walk, 5 strikeouts. Zach ready. Another look over at Seager, and the 3-0 pitch taken for a strike. 3-1. Greinke had one of those little unusual. It's not a surprising thing, but he's had 4 strikeouts in an inning. Most strikeouts in a game. He had 15 against Cleveland. The Greinke set at the belt. His 3-1 pitch coming up. Gonzalez hits it late and foul into the stands down the left field line. 3-2 the count. So with 2 down, Goldschmidt will be off the bag, and Seager will be going on the pitch. Three balls and 2 strikes. Dodgers facing a Cy Young winner. Greinke won that award back in 2009. So Seager will be going. 3-2, 2 out. Greinke set. Here he comes. Swung on. Little roller to the middleman. That's Segura. They flips the first in time, and that will do it for the Dodgers. Like Arizona, no runs, 1 hit, a man left. At the end of an inning, yum time. No score.
Final days of Nissan's Bottom Line Summer Event. Now save big with 0% for up to 72 months on 13 models and no payments for 90 days. Plus, get up to $3,000 bonus cash or save up to $3,750 on the 2016 Altima. This Labor Day weekend is your last chance to get big model year-end savings. Hurry, 0% financing, no payments for 90 days, and $3,000 bonus cash ends soon.
I know you.
Welcome.
Hi.
We're your neighbors. We live across the street.
Right over there.
Hi.
Oh, hey. See, you got Time Warner Cable like the rest of the hood? Genius.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Oh, you got the TWC phone, too.
Sure.
It's unlimited calling to half the world, including Mexico, Canada, India, European Union.
Over a dozen calling features like caller ID on TV. It even blocks unwanted calls.
Comes in handy with the in-laws.
Call now to add Time Warner Cable phone for $10 more a month. There's a money-back guarantee and no contract to sign. Call today.
No score as we go to the second inning on a beautiful day, this Labor Day. We pray that you will be very careful, enjoy it to the utmost, but be very, very careful, especially if you're planning on driving. Meanwhile, here comes Jake Lamb, followed by Wellington Castillo, and then Yasmani Tomas. Jake Lamb, well, he is slowly but surely not only taking over at third base, but slowly and surely giving you an idea that he will become a star. The Dodgers already know it, and Maeda especially. He's 6 for 10 with a home run and 3 RBIs. Jake is from Seattle, Washington, 26 years old come October. Good size, 6 feet 3, 220, and hits left-handed. So Jake Lamb checking in. Maeda with the right side of the infield loaded up. And we go to the second, no score. First pitch inside under the hands, ball 1, 1-0.
Lamb in his very first big league day in the big leagues. That would be 2014. Went 1 for 4, driving a home run, and gave his parents the ball from that after the game. Jake's a good one. 1 ball and 1 strike the count. Into the windup goes Maeda. Back with a pitch off speed, and way out in front of it is Jake Lamb. Lamb was signed by the D-backs in the 6th round, and Maeda has been burned by him, so been very careful. Jake went to school at the University of Washington. Now the 1-2 pitch on the way. Lamb swings, pulls it to the middleman on the right side. That'll be Justin Turner, and that'll be that for Lamb. So the Dodgers had a couple of outs to the right side. That was log jammed, and now they do the same thing for Lamb here in the 2nd. And the batter is the big catcher, Wellington Castillo. And with that name Wellington, it's only normal that they would tag a nickname. And he is called Beef Wellington. He's 5'10", 205 pounds. He's hitting 5 straight with an RBI. Overall, 12 home runs. First pitch of the right-hand hitting catcher is taken for a strike, and the count 0-1. Wellington, he's from San Ysidro in the Dominican Republic. Signed by the Cubs back in 2004. Strike 1 pitch on the way. Maeda deals. That one is a little low. 1 ball and 1 strike the count. Maeda and Greinke locked in, no score, 2nd inning. Castillo with 17 home runs last year and 50 runs batted in. Right-hander waiting, and the 1-1 pitch on the way, swung on and hammered foul. 2nd level. Boy, did he get all over that pitch. Now he turns and says to Les Diaz, was that a strike? And I'm sure Diaz said, and how? Castillo, when he was 17, he had offers from the Phillies, the Cardinals, the Diamondbacks, and the Cubs, and he signed with the Cubs. Here's the 1-2 pitch. Wellington beats it foul into the dirt. He came up in 2010 with the Cubs. He was with him for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 years, and finally went to the Mariners and to the Diamondbacks. Maeda, deep in thought, looks into Reed Grandal. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Castillo waiting with Tomas on deck. And the 1-2 pitch on the way. Kenta deals and bounces it in front of the plate, and the count 2 balls and 2 strikes. Wellington Castillo, pretty smart guy. When he came over from the Dominican, the first thing he did with the Cubs is to please place me with American-born players on road trips so I could improve my English. He also studied at home, and he's a very valuable piece of the Diamondbacks. 2-2 off speed, drops in for a strike, 76 miles an hour, and Castillo just frozen at the plate and walks away.
Right fielder number 24, Yasmani Tomas.
So that would be the 3rd strikeout for Maeda, and the batter is Yasmani Tomas. So a head down Castillo as Tomas checks in. This year, the Dodgers are facing some tough Cuban hitters, but then again, they have one of their own. Tell you why in a moment. The first pitch to Tomas, ball 1. The Cuban home run leaders. Yoenis Cespedes has 27. Yasmani Tomas, 27. And then the Dodgers have Yasmani Grandal with 22. Jose Abreu. Kendrys Morales has 22. The 1-0 pitch in for a strike, and the count 1-1. Yasmani Tomas in 2014 signed a 6-year deal with Arizona, so he figures to be around a while. 1-1. Tomas, right-hand hitter, takes low. Maeda working very carefully. He has struck out 3, given up 1 hit. Kenta's 2-1 pitch on the way, swung on, hit in the air to left field. Kendrick on the run will pick it off. So the D-backs go quietly, and at the end of an inning and a half, oh yes, hooray. Didn't realize your hands were that big. Oh, wrong hand. No score.
Hi, can you help us with a Tough Shed storage building?
Would you like something like this?
That's perfect.
Cool. Do you guys sell Tough Shed garages too? We sure do, and I can help. Great, thanks.
Legendary Tough Shed quality plus the convenience of the Home Depot. Right now, get 10% off the base price on installed Sundance Series sheds, plus up to 24 months special financing when you use your Home Depot consumer credit card account.
GCU offers more than 200 innovative programs across 9 colleges, which now include cutting-edge next-generation programs in engineering, computer science, and information technology. Grand Canyon University, the quality of a private Christian education, the affordability of a state university. Visit gcu.edu.
Vin Scully fans will not want to miss coming to Dodger Stadium on Saturday, September 24th, when 50,000 limited edition commemorative coins will be distributed in his honor. Presented with a certificate, these solid bronze coins are individually numbered and minted with an image of Vin and his signature greeting quote. For more information, visit Dodgers.com/LA-loves-Vin.
Bottom of the second inning, no score in the ball game, and Grandal takes ball 1. Yasmani having a tremendous year for the Dodgers, hitting .233, but 23 home runs, 61 RBIs. He's homered in 2 straight games, and he takes a strike, 1 ball and 1 strike. So Grandal, he'll be followed by Reddick and then Kendrick. Grandal 1 for 10 in the pass, shows bunt, runs up, takes it high. Of course, with the overshift, that means Chris Owings is all alone, not only on the left side, he is forever from third base. So if Grandal could ever get a pitch away and just put the bat on it down the line, he's got a gift base hit. 2-1 the count. Yasmani swings right through the next pitch, and the count 2-2. Grandal, a powerful switch hitter. Most of his power as a left-handed batter. 23 home runs, 20 left-handed, 3 right-handed. Greinke, feet together, looks down to get a sign. Now the 2-2 pitch. Instead, he thinks better of it and backs off the rubber. Zach checking, now ready, and his 2-2 pitch over the top, fouled away off to the left. Still 2-2. So Yasmani Grandal leading off second inning. Each side with a base hit, nothing else. For Greinke to get involved in a scoreless battle, he certainly could just remember back to 2008 into 2009. He had 43 consecutive scoreless innings. 2-2 pitch on the way, off speed, outside corner, strike 3 called. A whale of a pitch. Wow. That will be the second strikeout for Greinke. And the batter, Josh Reddick. Reddick, the proud possessor, finally, of a home run as a Dodger. Checking in against Zach. Greinke, feet together, looks down. Reddick, left-hand hitter at the plate, and a strike, 0-1. Reddick, 9 home runs, 1 with the Dodgers. And the strike one pitch on the way. Josh swings, pops it in the air to shallow center. Late start, but coming up to catch it is Pollock. And we have 2 down in the second inning. Tough time of day. If you're in the outfield, if you're in right field, you fight the sun, the setting sun. If you're in center, 1 minute you're in sunlight, then you're in shade. So it is a tough time of day, and to look in at the wedding cake and try to pick the ball up. That's a chore right now for Tomas out there in right field. Look at that. Sun is right in his eyes. So here's Howie Kendrick. Fouls a pitch back, and the count 0-1. That was the one thing, and of course, Babe Ruth was so great, he would never play in the sun field. 0-1 the count to Kendrick, hitting .272, a tremendous year for the Dodgers, playing anywhere in the lineup and on the field and doing well. Takes low one away. 1 ball and 1 strike. 2 out, second inning, no score. Giants lost. Giants on the road trip, 5 games as a team. They're hitting .099. They've just stopped dead in the water. 1-1 pitch, fastball, swung on and missed. 1-2. As we mentioned earlier, it's pretty hard to figure out. Oh, sure, they had some players injured, but when they were injured, they seemed to be playing very well. And before the All-Star break, the Giants were the best team in the major leagues. Since the All-Star break, they're the worst team in the major leagues. Here's the 1-2 pitch, high and away, and a 2-ball, 2-strike count. Greinke trying to win his 13th, but remember last year, 19-3 here, and an earned run average of 1 point something. 2-2 pitch, low and inside, ball 3. And in his career pitching in Dodger Stadium, 29-5, and an earned run average of 2. Wow. 2 down, bases empty, 3-2 the count. Kendrick the batter, Jock Peterson on deck. Dodgers have the second best home record in the National League. Here's the 3-2 pitch to Kendrick, swung on, fouled away. The Dodger record at home, 44 wins, 27 losses. Who's in front? You got that right. The Chicago Cubs. They are 51-20. By the way, it's Labor Day. Did a little bit of research for you if you want it. 3-2 pitch on the way, and Kendrick swings, misses, dug out of the dirt. Tomas, they throw down to first by Castillo, backed up by Tomas, and down goes Kendrick. So maybe, if they're interested, we'll drop in a couple of things for the kids, really. And at the end of 2, no score.
The following is a real-life depiction of a bacon three-way. Viewer discretion is advised. Acts of bacon jam dripping from Black Angus beef may make some viewers feel hungry. Scenes containing bacon crumbles that lead to biting and lip-licking may be considered offensive. Images depicting strips of Applewood smoked bacon laying on top of each other may not be suitable for work. This burger is for hardcore bacon fans. The Bacon Three-Way Burger. Only at Carl's Jr.
Take advantage of limited time lease and finance offers available now at your Southern California BMW centers. Visit SoCalBMW.com today for details.
Why are you deleting these photos? Because my teeth are yellow. Why don't you use a whitening toothpaste? I'm afraid it's bad for my teeth.
Try Crest 3D White. Crest 3D White Diamond Strong Toothpaste and Rinse. Gently whiten and fortify weak spots. Used together for 2 times stronger enamel. Crest 3D White.
Third inning, no score in the ball game. Maeda and Greinke, Dodgers and D-backs. And Socrates Orel Brito will start off the inning. Socrates from the Dominican Republic, drafted by the Diamondbacks as a free agent. Maeda hesitates as he reads Grandal. Now to the windup, and the pitch to the plate taken for a strike, 0-1. Socrates was a classical Greek philosopher, probably one of the first founders of Western philosophy. Strike one, pitch on the way, changed, chased, and missed, 0-2. From what we understand, the thing about Socrates, he had a friend of his go to the Oracle of Delphi, say, who is the smartest man in the world? Here's the strike two pitch on the way, high, ball one. And the Oracle said, Socrates. So Socrates could not believe that. So he went all around trying to find someone much smarter than he was, and he failed. And I'll tell you why he thought he failed. Here's the 1-2 pitch coming up. Brito, left-hand batter, swings, and down he goes with all his philosophy. Anyway, going around, he kept asking other men just how smart they were, and he finally realized he was the smartest man because he admitted to himself he didn't know anything. That was his theoretical theory. Now that's Socrates, and this time Socrates Brito. And here's Zack Greinke getting a few boos. I started to say it before, since it is Labor Day, and of course today it's just a big holiday, but if you have youngsters, maybe you'd like to tell them a little bit about what Labor Day is all about. Into the windup goes Maeda, bases empty, 1 out, fastball strike. The first celebrated U.S. Labor Day was September the 5, 1882 in New York. 10,000 workers marched from City Hall up to 42nd, went on up to 92, and had a big picnic and a concert. Greinke swings and misses, and the count 0-2. What I didn't know, and looking it up, Canada is said to have originated the idea of hosting a day honoring the labor movement in 1872. That's probably something a lot of folks don't know. Strike two pitch to Greinke, takes ball one. Oregon, believe it or not, Oregon was the first state to celebrate Labor Day as a legal holiday back in 1887. Maeda ready, Greinke waiting. The 1-2 pitch on the way, taken off the plate, 2-2. The decision to make Labor Day the first Monday of September, that was approved in June of 1894. One of the reasons that labor and 155 million workers in America had that holiday, you don't realize how hard they used to work in the late 1800s. Breaking ball is foul back. American workers averaged 12 hours a day, 7 days a week during the 19th century, and this is the tough part to acknowledge. Children 5 and 6 years old worked in the factories and in the mines. Here's the 2-2 pitch coming up to Greinke. Maeda deals fastball low, ball 3. So, knowing all that hard work, 12-hour days, 7 days a week, they had what they call the Adamson Act. That was passed in 1916 to establish an 8-hour workday. 3-2, the count to Zack Greinke. Maeda ready. Here he comes, and he drops it in there. Strike 3 call. So after all that laboring to stay alive at the plate, Greinke strikes out and becomes strikeout number 5. By the way, they still have a Labor Day parade in New York, but it seems like it's really just become a holiday. Here's Gene Segura, single to left in the first inning. A remarkable infielder and a wonderful hitter. Segura takes ball 1. He singled in the first inning. He is the first Diamondback to ever open a season with 5 straight months of 30 or more hits. I mean, that's how good he is. 30 or more hits. In August, he had 37. He had 37 in April. The next one a strike, 1-1 to count. He had 30 in May, 32 in June, 30 in July. Boy, that's piling up a lot of hits, isn't it? Gene Segura. He had 170 hits. 1-1 pitch on the way, taken for a strike. 1-2. Maeda working nicely, gave up a leadoff single, nothing else. Retired 8 in a row, striking out 5. The 1-2 pitch swung on, hit foul off to the right down the line. You get 2 strikes on a hitter, he's in a lot of trouble. However, the top 10 2-strike hitters in the National League mentions Gene Segura. Martin Prado, number 1. Here's the 1-2 pitch to Gene. Swung on, fouled away. 1-2. Anyway, and by the way, when I give you little notes about, let's say, Labor Day, I'm not trying to show you I'm smart, because I'm not. I just go look it up. But I figure youngsters might be watching the game and maybe learn a little something. Here's the 1-2 pitch on the way. Segura chases one away, hits it back to Maeda, and that's the inning. So after giving up a base hit, he's retired 9 in a row. And at the end of 2.5 innings, no score. Hello, little man. Look up at your son. Or maybe it's better at the teddy bear.
It's the final days of Nissan's Bottom Line Summer Event. Now save big with 0% for up to 72 months on 13 models and no payments for 90 days. Plus, get up to $3,000 bonus cash or save up to $3,750 on the 2016 Altima. This Labor Day weekend is your last chance to get big model year-end savings. Hurry, 0% financing, no payments for 90 days, and $3,000 bonus cash ends soon.
I won this 55-inch TV for less than $30 on DealDash.com.
I got this $1,200 computer for $100.71.
These aren't actors, they're real people who got real savings at DealDash.com, the fair and honest bidding site.
On DealDash, I got this $349 mixer for less than $25.
iPads sell for as little as $5, laptops for $10, and professional cameras for as little as $20.
I won this iPhone for $8.48 at DealDash.com.
I got all this for less than $50 on DealDash.com.
Try DealDash today. If you don't win, get your money back. But hurry, everything must go. Go to DealDash.com now to start bidding.
In my first 4 months on DealDash, I won 104 auctions.
And shipping is always free.
Visit DealDash.com and start bidding today.
No score. Bottom of the 3rd inning. It'll be Jock Peterson, Kenta Maeda, and then Chase Utley in that order. If anybody gets aboard, Corey Seager. So Jock checking in. Greinke into the windup. Zach delivers. Fastball a little high and in. 1 ball and no strikes. Peterson hitting .240 against the league with .381 against Arizona. Greinke ready. Comes right back 1-0. Fastball swung on and missed.